Girl's Guide for Solo Hiking. Can hiking alone ever be considered safe? Like solo traveling, some people will argue that hiking alone is never safe, no matter what. As someone who does it all the time, I have a different take on it. I find it empowering, incredibly peaceful, and one of the best ways to get closer to myself. I get to push out all the noise and clutter and just be one with nature. That said, you have to take precautions to make yourself safer. By preparing this. A. Carry a spot beacon or satellite phone. Both of these lightweight items allow you to call for help and to regularly message your family and friends with your location as well. Satellite phones don't come cheap, but our lives are worth it. Yes? B. Understand what the animal situation is. Educating yourself about your surroundings is imperative. In Glacier National Park, for example, I needed to carry bear spray, and in Alaska, I carry bear cans, and I made sure I understood how to use it. C. Stick to trails. Popular, well-marked trails in national parks are a much smarter choice than heading into the backcountry in Alaska solo, for example, where it's too easy to get lost since there's no trail, and where it's unlikely that anyone else will be out. But on popular trails, you'll never have to truly be alone. D. Let someone know where you are going. Before you leave, be sure to tell someone where you are going and when you expect to be back. You can also check in with them periodically while you are on your hike. Start small. Start small and go for shorter hikes in the beginning, and go with other people while you learn the ropes. By start small, you can gain knowledge and confidence quickly. Pick popular trails. Choose the right hike. When hiking solo, it is important to choose a hike that is well-marked and well-traveled. You should also avoid hiking in remote areas, especially if you are new to hiking. I usually hike popular trails. For me, it's a bonus if I can meet people along the way, which I always do. It's so much fun. We kept meeting people along the way as well, and that's the beauty of longer hikes like this. You tend to see the same people again and again. The camaraderie is awesome, but if you want, you can also have moments to yourself. Learn the skills from someone first. I may not know how to navigate very well with a map and compass, but I do know how to combat blisters and pick the right gear. I do have the skills necessary to cook my own food and pitch a tent on my own, and I know what to pack for a backpacking trip so that I'm not overweighted. I don't let myself get into a situation where I'm unprepared. I only have these skills because I backpacked with someone who taught me everything before I ever set off on my own. I believe it's imperative that you learn from someone who has the skills before backpacking solo. If nothing else, it will help with your confidence and knowledge of wilderness safety. You'll get a better sense of how to pack and how to pace yourself too. Understand the trail conditions first. You have to know what you're getting into, so do your research first. But most importantly, talk to people on the ground and understand what the trail is like right now. Check the weather and make sure that your gear will keep you warm enough. Other steps include the following. Search local official tourism sites. Email your accommodation near the trail to ask them for advice. Join Facebook groups and look for people who have recently completed the trek. Search the name of the Trail Plus blog and read recent posts. Check weather patterns over the past few years. Be prepared and equipped. Do your research. Before you go on your hike, be sure to research the trail conditions and the weather forecast. You should also pack the appropriate gear, including food, water, sunscreen, insect repellent, and a first aid kit. Having enough food, staying warm, staying dry, and being able to have constant access to water, whether you're carrying it or finding it on the trail, are all imperative. Most of the time when people run into trouble, it's because they've wandered from the trail, did not adequately prepare food-wise, got too cold, or ran out of water. You can make sure none of those things happen to you by being totally prepared. Know your limits. Never hike technical trails solo. To date, the Huemul Circuit in Patagonia is the hardest trail I've ever done. I had to pull myself across 2 rivers with a pulley and harness and descend 700 meters over 1 kilometer. That's almost vertical, without anything to hold on to but the errant stray tree branch. On the first day, a solo hiker asked if he could join our group, and we said of course. I understand why he didn't want to do it solo. It's a technical hike, and even though I've done hundreds of miles solo now, I would still not attempt that hike alone. I wouldn't go into foggy conditions, heavy winds, or difficult-to-navigate trails solo either. Technical trails are best done in groups or with a guide. Know your limits. Know that it's largely mental. I've experienced rough weather on nearly every trail I've done, and there have been moments of heaven and moments of hell. It's always worth it to be so close to nature and to see the things that only your feet can carry you to. But you have to be ready for the tough stuff. It's going to be hard sometimes, and that's kind of the point, right? You have to stay positive. As soon as you start to doubt yourself, it's going to get worlds harder. Train for your trip. Even if you have hiked before, training for your trip is going to be a game changer. In addition to being mentally prepared, get your body in shape for the challenge ahead. If you can't train by doing short hikes around where you live, put your backpack on with weight in it and get on the stair climber. I know you're going to look weird in the gym, but the gym is for training, so who cares, right? Do endurance exercises like Pilates, and don't wait until the last minute to get ready. The more prepared you feel, the easier it's going to be. Get gear that fits you. The biggest problem that people experience with long-term hikes is blisters. Make sure that your shoes are tight, your socks are thick, and that everything fits you right. On top of that, buy backpacks that you've tried on with weight, and make sure you understand how to evenly distribute the weight on your body before you walk out of the store. Minimize your weight. If you're hiking solo, that means you are carrying all of the gear. If you're backpacking, that means you alone are carrying the tent, cooking equipment, and all of the food and water. You need to shave off every gram where possible. I'm always amazed when I see people hiking with jars and hydrated foods like jam and tuna. They must be crazy. Only bring 2 pairs of clothes, one to sleep in and one to hike in. Bring food that you can rehydrate, assuming that you have access to water each evening. And buy lightweight gear that is designed for backpacking. Leave no trace. The most important thing about hiking in the wilderness, whether with other people or on your own, is to truly leave no trace. Most people know that means not to litter, but there are other important things to understand. Never veer from the trail. Erosion can be irreversible, and footprints in the California desert from 200 years ago are still there. Stay on the trail for your safety and for the wilderness's sake. Do not wash anything in rivers. I see people washing dishes in rivers all the time. The water flows on, yes, but it has to end up somewhere, and this is how we pollute our water sources. Pack everything out. This includes food that you don't finish. If you leave it in the wilderness, animals will get used to eating it. Then they might get aggressive with humans. And then we've caused a big problem. Seriously consider where you use the bathroom. If the trail provides toilets, use them. Even if it's not a nice toilet, we can have a serious impact on the environment if enough people choose not to use the toilet on a trail. If there is no toilet, walk at least 100 feet away from any water sources, bury it, and pack out the toilet paper. If that seems gross to you, put some duct tape around a Ziploc bag so that you don't have to look at it. But seriously, do not leave it in the wilderness. Finally, be open to hiking with others. Even though I start most of my trails solo, I meet so many cool people along the way that I almost always come out of it with new friends. You don't have to be nice to and hang out with everyone, but you may find that there are people that you want to hike with. There's a great community of people out there, so be open to that possibility. Conclusion. Solo hiking can be a rewarding experience, but it is important to be prepared and to take safety precautions. While I agree that solo hiking is not for everyone, there are many women around the world who have hiked thousands of miles on their own. And for those of us who love it, it's one of the best experiences in the world. Everyone has to decide for themselves what feels good. But for me, solo traveling is a beautiful high, and hiking solo can take me even higher.